Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 4th. October 4th is the 277th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 278th in leap years, with 88 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is acronym. We touched on this a little bit yesterday when we talked about initialisms or alphabetisms, which are composed usually of the first letters, could be other letters, usually the first letters in a phrase, but are pronounced as the individual letters like FBI. An acronym, though, is a word that is made from letters from a phrase, which in themselves also make a word. For example, SCUBA stands for Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus, or NATO, which stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or HIPAA, which stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, acronyms. The first complete modern English translation of the Bible, known as the Coverdale Bible, was printed on October 4th, 1535. Now, there had been Old Testaments and New Testaments printed in English before this, and Psalms, of course, but this was the first complete printed translation into English of the Bible. The Gregorian calendar was introduced by Pope Gregory XIII on October 4th, 1582. This is the birthday of American painter, sculptor, and illustrator Frederick Remington, born October 4th, 1861. A remarkable artist, he worked in watercolor and oil painting, drawings, and sculpture. He was an amazing and prolific artist. He got a lot done in his all too brief 48 years, but he died of complications from an emergency appendectomy in 1909. The Agricultural and Mechanical College of Texas opened as the first public college in Texas on October 4th, 1876. On October 4th, 1927, a man named Gutzon Borglum began sculpting Mount Rushmore. Just a reminder that it's still hurricane season. On October 4th, 1963, Hurricane Flora killed 6,000 people across the Caribbean. Goodness, the second largest cash robbery in U.S. history took place in North Carolina on October 4th, 1997. $17.3 million in cash. The FBI were called in because even though this took place at an armored car business, most of the cash involved belonged to banks, technically making it a bank robbery, which is a federal offense. It didn't take any time at all for the FBI to tune in to the most likely suspects. The suspects didn't help themselves much either, spending too much money and behaving suspiciously. One of the participants, for example, got tired of making frequent small deposits to her bank and asked the teller, "How much can I deposit before you have to report it to the feds?" Followed by, "Don't worry, it's not drug money." Well, I guess it wasn't drug money, but the interchange prompted the bank to fill out a suspicious activity report. Seems like the people who don't handle money well when they're broke don't really seem to handle it all that much better when they get some. Anyway, the first arrest took place on March 1st, 1998. Not quite 6 months after the robbery. 7 more arrests were made the following day, and ultimately 9 other friends and relatives were also charged with money laundering. Another one bites the dust. Can you hear it in your head right now? Another One Bites the Dust by British rock band Queen appeared on Queen's album The Game in 1980. This one was Queen's best-selling single, a worldwide hit, spending 31 weeks in the Billboard Hot 100 chart, with 15 of those weeks in the top 10, and beginning on October 4th, 3 weeks in the number 1 spot. Since its release, Another One Bites the Dust has been covered, remixed, and sampled by numerous artists, used in TV shows, commercials, movies, and other forms of media, and played during sports occasions. Another One Bites the Dust could also keep you from biting the dust. The timing of the beat is perfect for the timing of chest compressions, while performing CPR. Another One Bites the Dust by Queen, number 1, October 4th, 1980. Links in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.